and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Call the Exeter Town Council meeting for Monday, June 2nd. Order. The clerk, please take the roll.
Dan Patterson.
Here.
Ray Morrissey.
Here.
Diane Allen is absent. Olivia Di Francesco had unforeseen circumstance come up, so she's absent. And Cal Ellis.
I'm here.
Okay, number 3, acknowledgements and announcements. A, annual dog licensing is April 1st to June 1st at $6. After June 1st, it's $6 per license plus a $25 late fee per license. Obtained at the clerk's office, animal shelter, or online. For more information, see the town's website. Item B, next week, Exeter's annual financial town meeting is Tuesday, June 10th at 7 o'clock at the Exeter West Greenwich Junior Senior High School Auditorium, 930 Nooseneck Hill Road, West Greenwich, Rhode Island.
Sure.
I'm sure you want to say something to that, Cal. Go right ahead.
No, what I want to say, Dan, thank you. There are just a couple of things I want to speak about. And we have for years been talking about the comprehensive plan. Now, most of you know it was tentatively approved and we got a letter that it was. Here's a letter that we just received on May 23rd. It comes from the statewide planning, division of statewide planning. It comes to us from the associate director, and it's lengthy. This is the only paragraph I want to read. Based on these findings, and they went through, there were findings, I certify that the town of Exeter Community Comprehensive Plan Update, Exeter 2044, is consistent with the goals, findings, and intent as established by the Act. And it goes on to say that the town is going to receive a certificate of recognition for the completion of the work a week from Thursday in Providence. I just want to say that for the record, because some of you have heard about this. In case you didn't hear the notice before, I want to make sure you hear it now. It's done. It has to be, can't put it aside on the shelf, but it's done. The other thing I want to say, Dan, is kudos to our parade committee, because most of what I've heard is they've never seen a better parade here in town. And so they deserve, I think, a lot of credit for pulling it off. Plus, it was the 50th. And the gentleman who started it all was back in town, as you know. And by the way, it's on YouTube, so if you want to watch it, you can find it. I haven't been able to, but techie people can find it. Thank you, Dave.
Next up is approval of the agenda order, and you wanted to move.
I did. Dan, could I ask, please, that the unfinished business item of the 250th committee, that item be moved to just before we begin public hearings? Our chair is here, or the chair. I think she has something she wanted to say to people, and she can't stay for the whole, she's got to leave. Thank you for that.
Motion?
If you wish, I'll approve the agenda order as modified or amended by me.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye. Thank you.
Okay, approval of the consent agenda. Let's see. Communications. You got any, Cal?
Just 14 and 20, please.
14, 20, Ray?
No.
Okay. Now, we get down to meeting minutes. I'm gonna do it this way. Because Ray was, number 2, number 12. I'm number 8. Cal's number 4. Cal.
Everybody was here for 1, 2, 3, and 4.
2?
1, 2, 3, 4.
Ray had to recuse himself from 2.
Yeah, I was at a special meeting on the executive, right? Right? Is that right?
Yeah.
Dan, you wouldn't just wanna run through the sets by date quickly and then
You
like,
wanna do one at a time real quick? Or,
I do a motion to eat.
excuse me?
Yeah?
Okay.
Motion to eat.
Motion to approve the minutes for April 7th, 2025.
is that a motion? I'll second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
Let's see, we don't have a quorum to do.
Number 2.
The same with 8, 12, and 14. Yeah. Okay, I will make a motion to approve.
So they all get the.
Yeah. I will make a motion to approve the meeting minutes for April 14th, 2025. Executive session, April 14th, 2025. Special meeting, April 17th, 2025. Special meeting, April 23rd, 2025. Special meeting, executive session, April 23rd, 2025. Regular meeting, May 5th, 2025. Regular meeting, executive session, May 5th, 2025. Special meeting, May 6th, 2025. And special meeting, May 22nd, 2025. Or you weren't here for
I
that one,
wasn't,
Cal,
so
so we can't do
do it.
13. Okay, 13 and 14 we can't do. Okay, that's my motion.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
So, 2, 8, 12, 13, and 14, we'll have to wait till we have a quorum. Correct?
Put them back on next month.
Yeah, yeah, okay.
So,
Okay. All right, next, number 6, oh, wait a minute, I'm sorry. Motion to approve the consent agenda
As amended.
as amended.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, number 6, vacancies and appointments on personnel board. Uh, Resignations, none. Okay. C, Exeter Rural Land Preservation Trust Committee members, 3 needed to serve 4-year term beginning date of appointment. That means continue to post. 2, Board of Tax and Assessment Review member to serve unexpired term ending May 6, 2027. Continue to post. Board of Tax Assessment Review alternate member to serve 3-year term beginning date of appointment. Continue to post. Item D, expiring terms, Meredith Inga Bretson, Juvenile Hearing Board, term expires July 5th, 2025.
she doesn't want to be
I'll
reappointed.
move we accept her resignation with regret.
Is it a resignation or?
I'm sorry, her, we won't apply, her service, move to, vote of appreciation for her serving on the board, because she doesn't wish to continue.
Yeah, second, right?
Yes, second.
All in favor? William Haas, Planning Board member, term expires July 6, 2025.
The movie be reappointed, he's indicated he'd like to continue.
Well, I'm gonna make a motion to post that position, Cal, because it doesn't expire. We've got a month to appoint. We can do it next month in case someone else has any interest. That's my motion.
Second.
All in favor? Aye.
No, but, go ahead.
Okay. Number 3 is Donna Donato, Planning Board, alternate member, term expires July 2nd, 2025.
I move she be reappointed.
Second.
I'm gonna make a motion to post. Yeah.
Okay.
It's,
Draw.
okay.
There's a motion on that.
There's a motion already. Yeah. All in favor?
Aye.
To appoint or to?
The motion is to reappoint.
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh. Nay. Yeah, just go.
Oh, damn, and, yes,
Oh, sure.
Okay.
Well, it's not, we don't,
you made the motion.
unless we all agree on these, it's not gonna happen,
Okay.
right?
Well, it's 2-1,
Well,
so it
I'd say
passes.
post it.
So,
don't we have to have a majority of 3 to?
No, you need
Oh,
a majority.
majority.
of what's,
Yeah.
who's here,
Yeah, as
yeah.
long as there's a form.
Oh,
So what's your,
Does everybody know what's being
you
voted
mean
on?
on the motion that I made?
so the
Yes.
motion was to reappoint Donna.
Yes,
Ray said yes, Dan said no, you,
I say yes,
So it
but he's
passes.
withdrawing his vote, right?
Well, you wanted a post, that's why I said maybe I jumped the gun. I jumped the gun?
Not in my opinion, but
So are you voting no on this then, right?
I'll vote no on it.
Okay, all right,
Okay.
okay. All right. Next,
well, Dan, so you move to post. Well, here comes Diane. Oh,
I gotta redo the whole motion then, so.
save the day.
Okay. Okay, we'll wait for Diane to sit down, who was entered at 7:47. So. We were wondering if you thought it was 7 or 6:30.
no, it's
6:47.
6:47.
Oh, Jesus, I'm sorry. Okay, like standard time, I don't know what it is, so. Okay, we'll go back to D, expiring terms, number 3. Do we need to retract that motion to start on
I
the?
think the
Failed.
first motion failed, so now you can make your motion if
Okay.
you'd like to make a motion.
I will make a motion to post for the alternate planning board till next month's meeting.
Second.
Discussion. All in favor?
Aye.
No,
So
Okay.
did Diane, was Diane voting or?
Yes.
Cal, no, and 3 yeses.
Okay.
You didn't, what are you doing with, the first one, are you posting that one?
Yeah, the number 2 will be posted too.
That was-
Number 1, yeah, we'll have to post that. Do they even have a quorum there now or no?
They might.
Okay.
so
So
the
post that
planning
one?
No, the juvenile
juvenile?
board,
board. Oh,
because I think we just got it filled like 2 months ago where they could.
well,
it's-
there's a concern there too. I've spoken to the chair, but that's all right, not for tonight.
Okay, next up is, we move this ahead from old business, the 250, get the right thing.
Yes,
There we go.
Yeah, celebration, whatever.
Status, the Rhode Island 250 Commission, Exeter Historic Preservation Commission.
Right, and that would be Katrina
is here.
Gormley
Yeah,
has
come on
asked.
up so we can hear you.
that she would
At least
speak.
stand up so we can hear you.
Can I
Both deaf.
stand here, is this okay?
Yeah, yeah, I can hear.
So, we're still working, we're still trying to get volunteers to help us put together a celebration for America's 250th birthday next year. We really, 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 really need volunteers and funding. And we were also wondering if we could put a table here somewhere that has like Exeter merchandise, like hats and t-shirts, and there's QR codes to scan to pay. Is that something we'd be able to do, or is that
In
too
the
much?
building?
Like right over there somewhere,
You can
unless
do-
I can talk to Jess and she knows a better
You
method.
can do it, but nobody's gonna be watching.
Exactly, that's what I was thinking too. Okay.
It's a concern.
Yeah, it's definitely a concern,
We're going back and forth, but people come and go.
all the
I
time.
got a question.
Okay,
Would something like that work at the library, Ken, where there's someone there every day?
You just asked Deanne, I don't know if
that's
you
a
did or
good
not.
idea.
That's-
That might
I
be a
mean,
You
better
can put it
place
somewhere where they can
to,
watch
You
it.
get, I
Yeah.
think you get more traffic
I
up
think
there.
so too.
Yeah.
Most kids like to spend money.
Yeah.
And there's an adult there in the room, in
Yeah,
the
all the
room
time,
all the time, as
so.
opposed to not.
Oh, and,
Would that work?
yeah, that works.
Yeah.
And then on June 14th, we have an open house at Hall School too, with like a table with information, and we'll have Sheila Reynolds flags, she collects flags, so those will be out front, and we'll have information about Exeter history, obviously.
Okay,
Okay.
thank you.
That's gonna be publicized, isn't it?
Yeah. Yep.
So,
Actually, I think it went out in the newsletter for the library, or it is going out.
Thank you, Dan. Right.
Okay, number 7, public hearings. A, outdoor entertainment license application, Friends of the Exeter Public Library applicant to host its annual fundraiser, the Exeter Fall Festival, to benefit the Exeter Public Library, Saturday, September 30th, 2025, 10 a.m. to 3 p.m. at Yondu Valley Ski Area, 160 Yondu Valley Road, Exeter, Rhode Island, to include music, artisans, vendors, and family entertainment.
Move to open the hearing.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. Helen Douglas is signed up.
Yes, I am.
You're the one that's here every year.
Yes,
Yeah.
I am. I'm Helen Douglas, the president of the Friends of the Exeter Public Library, and I'm proud to be before you again, going for the outdoor entertainment license for the Fall Festival fundraiser again this year. So we're really fortunate to, despite the weather every year lately, we still make a lot of money for the Public Library of Exeter, and we're really proud to still continue to be able to do that. So hopefully you folks will mark their calendars for September 20th, come out and join us at the ski area where we have food, fun, food trucks, games, and also ways to make money for the library. So we're going for the outdoor entertainment license, and I would like to humbly request the council to waive the application fee for the Friends. We're a nonprofit corporation, and all the money that we raise goes towards the library. Thank you.
Okay, questions from the council? Anybody have any questions?
Just, it's a great event.
Yes, it is.
No, it rains.
Yeah, it's always, we have good supporters.
Yeah, I was there, I was amazed that people kept coming in with umbrellas and walking around, and all I could think was, I've been there when it's been a really nice day, so hopefully
This
day
year's
is-
the year,
This will be
hopefully.
the year for another nice day.
Any questions from members of the public? Okay. Motion to close the public hearing.
Second,
All in favor?
aye.
Okay, who wants to make a motion?
You, me,
You go.
I'll move that the application submitted by the Friends be approved, and that the application fee of $100 be waived.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay.
One thing,
Do you,
There
there's
is-
advertising fees, right? No,
it's right there. There will be a fee for advertising and
Yep.
certified mailing. I don't have the total, but when, we'll let you know.
Okay, just let me know. I
Okay.
had brought my checkbook, but I understand.
Sorry.
Just let me know. All right, thank you very much, appreciate it.
Next is, under public hearings, is G, public entertainment license application. Earl Adams applicant to host at his address, 300 Hog House Hill Road, Exeter, Rhode Island, the Rhode Island National Guard's Leap Fest. Airborne Soldier Competition, Saturday, August 2nd, 2025. The rain date is Sunday, August 3rd, 2025, 8 a.m. to 5 p.m. Come on up, Earl.
did you move to open?
Oh, I'm sorry.
I'll move to open.
Motion to open the public hearing.
I'll move to do that.
Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, you're up now, Earl.
Thank you for letting me speak. I'm Earl Adams, and for the last 4 or 5 years, we've hosted at our farm the Leap Fest event, which is the Rhode Island National Guard's 42nd annual parachute event, where the Rhode Island National Guard invites competition from all the states in the country, as well as teams come in for this annual parachute event from all around the world, from England, Germany, etc. It's a one-day event. There's a couple of days of prep in which the National Guard will take and have this competition from people who want to jump out of perfectly good helicopters. Competition is in the middle of our hayfield. Our hayfield's about 150 to 200 acres. It's a very, very good event. We park all the cars in a hayfield off the street. We have probably 2/3 of the attendees are veterans that from around the state and from out of state, as well as military people from around the country to watch the event. The only time helicopters actually land is if there's an emergency situation where somebody gets hurt.
Okay.
They come in and out of Quonset.
Yes, so the, all the troops are picked up in Quonset on the airstrip there, and there's usually 3 or 4 Chinook helicopters. They'll come in, they'll circle, they'll drop out 4 or 5 people at a time. There are 3 X's on the field. They'll land, and from the time they land to the time they hit their target, their time. So there's competitions in which the best team wins, the best individuals, and then there's, they'll have a dinner, you know, amongst all the competitors from around the world, usually in Newport or off-site, where they have an award ceremony. And it's the longest running parachute competition in the world. And Rhode Island has hosted it for the last 42 years.
Very good. Wow.
But for you, it's been what, 2, 3, 4?
This will be our 4th,
4.
yes. When they were asked to leave URI, they came back to where they were.
How many people usually get that kind of rough number? No, as far as spectators.
Probably about 1,000.
Over the course of the day.
Of course of the day.
Once
Yeah,
they
people come and go, so there'll be people coming at 9, 10 o'clock in the morning, and then they might leave at, 12, and they'll families come. We host some people at our house as well, our own personal guests. So it's a constant flow of people throughout the day. So we have a field, we have a 9-acre hayfield that's just designated for parking. It's all done by the National Guard, all through their, there's probably maybe 200 to 300 guardsmen that are just running the event, that are on the ground, that nobody knows they're there. Once the paratroopers land, they're put in a school bus and they're taken back to Quonset to have a second round or a third round. In some cases, they do 2 to 3 rounds. So the MPs will run traffic control. In the past, we've had the state police there. I think, Scott, you've attended every year?
Every year?
And Scott can attend to traffic issues or anything?
Never had any problems.
We have signage on Route 2 usually, directing people up Rhode. They come into the field. We have a long gravel driveway, so all the cars are queued inside. They go right to the parking, then they come out a separate exit, and they exit promptly right onto the road. So I don't think we've had a single traffic issue at all. We have a lot of state troopers that attend as well, so there's probably at any time 10 to 15 state troopers that have come and go through that day, because many of the troopers in the state of Rhode Island are part-time National Guardsmen and are competing as well. So, Dan, you've been one that's attended?
I usually go early in the morning before I have to go to work. I've been there when they were building the new fire road.
Right.
When you go to this, a lot of it, it's training for all different specialties in there. They've got a full-blown field hospital on the one side I've seen, so.
Right.
I mean, it's training for all different parts.
We have 5 access points on the farm. So we have one for just visitors. We have an access point for the buses that come in and exit in a single direction. We have all the medical personnel down at another access point, and we have access out to Gardner Road and through Hockhouse Hill Road up through a second entrance. So the whole farm is quartered off where there's no vehicles. Once they park, then they're shuttled. Last year, the National Guard shuttled everybody on golf carts actually to the event. It's very, very, very well run. And they'll start a week before prepping. They bring in all their own porta potties, they bring in water. There's a Black Hawk helicopter on the ground for the kids to climb around in and see what it's like. They're promoting the National Guard, the Air National Guard. And I know that Mike DeFrancisco on the planning board, back in his Vietnam days, he was part of it. And I actually have come to appreciate it more for the veterans that come, because I know Hal Morgan, I never realized what he was prior, to this event, but Hal Morgan one year came up with American flags up all the up all the roads and said, welcome veterans.
So that's like the air show now. We don't have.
There is no air show anymore.
Right.
It's your
That's
it's your air
Takes
show.
care of that, right?
No, it's not mine, it's Rhode Island National
What I
Guard.
mean is it's at your property.
Correct, and we are not paid in any way by the National Guard. This is, we volunteer the property for them.
Thank you for doing
What
that.
was it, 3 or 4 years ago, the National Guard found him going over aerial maps and saw that big giant hayfield.
Not surprising.
They like the area because there's no telephone wires, there's no electric wires in the area. They now have a simulator at URI, so all the troops that come in, they'll spend 3 or 4 days in a simulator at URI, which is actually an earshot of the field, so they
So
can,
they know what
they know what they're getting into.
where they're going.
Interestingly, we have 2 ponds on the property, and the 2 ponds have Navy SEALs there with boats. Because
In case
they go
land
in,
the
because you
pond.
need to get them out of the water before the parachute comes down and they drown. So we have actually active members of the military in the Navy SEALs sitting there on a boat all day waiting for splashdown. Or we have a tree
Pretty much
company.
got everything covered.
We have a tree company there in case they get into the woods, so they can probably be taken out of a tree. And we even have had them land on our upper deck and by accident, a little off course. There was a video taken where they came through. He was from Germany. And we opened up the 2nd floor sliding glass door and said, "Welcome to America," and we handed him a beer.
Well, I want to say it's probably an event that even surprised you in terms of the extent that they went to make sure everybody was safe and comfortable and.
Yes, and when somebody comes down and twists an ankle or something, they have 2 or 3 rescues there, which are, they bring in their own. We have members of the fire department and the rescue there just because they're observing from Exeter. But also, I think we had 2 people that were hurt last year, and they were all taken out by a military helicopter, and they are lifted right to Rhode Island Hospital. So it's a lot faster, regardless of the injury. They were just, broken leg, etc. But they were just taken out, and they were like 6 minutes in the Rhode Island Hospital.
And if they didn't want to have an accident, they simply didn't have to compete.
That's right. It actually started for anybody who's interested, I remember as a kid them doing this in the 60s with my grandfather there. So it wasn't officially a competition, it was just
An exhibit.
An exhibit.
An exhibition.
An
It was official in 1982.
officially, it was 1982.
I know because I jumped in it. I was in the 82nd Airborne Division at the time.
So not only, I know that Scott was involved in it, I didn't want to bring it to the forefront, but Mike DeFrancisco, he actually was in Vietnam jumping out of perfectly good helicopters.
173rd Airborne.
Right. And we do coordinate with the highway director. There's signage at the corner of Mail Road and Glen Rock Road, make sure that people don't take a wrong turn. And there's military people at all our areas to make sure that people don't wander. So it's all self-contained. There's no way you can get on that field unless you come in through a helicopter during the event.
Wow.
Can I just note for the record that there are 12 parties here that were duly notified of the public hearing. I see the list here. And I bet these parties must have a really fine day being close by to watch it. They must have good times watching.
Oh yeah, you from all around. You can watch them at Home Depot. And one thing that what I would like is I would like to try to continue this event at least one more year to get part of our 250th anniversary. We're asking for somebody, like Trump or maybe Department of Defense Secretary or to attend, but I don't know if that's going to be possible. Or if maybe a flyover.
Okay. Any other questions from anybody on the council?
It's a fun time.
Any questions from anybody in the public?
Anybody want to join the army?
We have a recruiting station there too.
Yeah, I knew that, of course.
I move that we close the public hearing.
I'll second that.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, let's see.
I'll make a motion that we, I get to go back and.
What's that?
I'll
Oh, we
make a
closed it,
motion
yeah.
To accept the application to oppose the give a public entertainment license application to the Guards Beef Fest Airborne Soldier Competition, Saturday, August 2nd, 2025.
So your motion was to approve the license, right?
Approve the application.
Second that.
All in favor?
Aye.
And we'll, again, I'll let you know how much you owe. The paper to get back to me with the ad prices today.
Okay, whatever you do, I'll come down with a check, thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, next, item C, public hearing. Proposed amendments to the Exeter Code of Ordinances, Appendix A, zoning, add, Article 7 or 10, 12. I'm forgetting my these.
7.
Article 7A, Farm Overlay District, Section 7A-1, purpose. Section 7A-2, definitions. Section 7A-3, Farm Overlay District. Section 7A-4, eligibility. Section 7A-5, other provisions. Motion to open the public hearing.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. What's this? Do we want Bill first? Yeah, Bill, you want to start with a narrative on this, please? Yeah.
Absolutely. Thank you, Mr. President. My name is Bill Pascal, honorable members of the town council, town planner. I have a memorandum that should be in front of you dated May 21st, 2025. And the memorandum is pursuant to Article 1, Section 1.5 of the Exeter zoning ordinance. The planning board conducted a review during their May 13, 2025 meeting regarding the proposed farm overlay district as presented and publicized by the applicant. The board assessed the draft in detail, considering its implications in alignment with the town's comprehensive plan, Exeter 2044, which is now approved by the statewide planning. I did note in the memorandum my concerns about the advertising and the difference between an overlay district as defined by Rhode Island General Law 45-2431, 55, and that of a floating zone, which is 45-2431. I'm going to belabor that point, but I believe there's a difference between how it was originally written, what actually the proposal is. The planning board did vote 5-0 in favor of supporting the town planner's findings of inconsistencies listed and amended the town planner's recommendations highlighted in yellow and attached in this memorandum. So we have to make required findings, and you'll see on page 2, the required findings relative to section A and B of the aforementioned statute. The text amendment creating a new overlay district, farm overlay district, as presented lacks the necessary specificity regarding the allowed uses and their operational parameters. Now it's important that this is in response to the actual the first version that was included as part of the application. This deficiency hampers the ability to assess the application's alignment with the comprehensive plan, particularly in relation to its goals and policies, the implementation program, and the future land use map. The next section, Roman numeral 2, under B, the current presentation of the text amendment, which is a farm overlay district, lacks adequate specificity regarding the permissible land uses and requisite regulatory performance standards. Additionally, there is also an absence of a defined application and approval process for the implementation of the new overlay district. That's the overlay versus a floating overlay. This defect renders uncertain whether the proposal satisfies the zoning objectives as outlined in Rhode Island General Laws 45-24-30 that are pertinent to the proposal in question, which is notice. The next section, actually it should be Roman numeral 3, not 2, is the current presentation of the text amendment regarding the farm overlay district lacks, again, sufficient specificity concerning the permissible land uses and necessary regulatory performance standards. As a result, it's unfeasible to evaluate the potential implications of the amendment on the health, safety, and welfare of the community. Under C, to foster consistency with the comprehensive plan and the Exeter zoning regulations, please see the attached memorandums to the proposed overlay district. And what you will see is what the planning board approved at that meeting. And the colors will signify, the red underline is additions that was authored by myself. As you can see, the town revisions for 29-25, which is town planner. And then the planning board approved changes that they approved at the at their meeting to the changes that I had forwarded. And again, they were kind of like in two flavors, speaking from the town planner's point of view. One was compliance on what the actual original application was, whether it was actually a floating zone as part of an overlay district or an actual zoning district. Because there were no parameters necessarily other than the eligibility criteria, it really acts more like a floating zone. And in that case, if the floating zone was constructed and approved, there would be an application process for those that would be eligible, and that would be dynamic into the future. Not only that, that would have to comply with state statute for notification, so those within 200 feet of the proposed floating zone district would be notified. There'd be a public hearing, and then that eligibility criteria would be applied by the town council in that public hearing with any conditions or stipulations that the town council felt were appropriate. I don't know how you want to go forward with this, Mr. President, because there's the original version, there's the version the planning board has recommended to this honorable body, and then I believe there is a cleaned up version for the applicant that came in today. So I'll turn it back over to you, Mr. President. I'm here to answer any questions relative to the contents of the plan.
You want to address on the advertising?
Yeah, so Earl, this was your original application, right?
Correct.
Did you send any notice to anybody in the mail about this application or about this hearing tonight?
I'm going to direct all questions to No, I did not send notice.
Okay. So the problem, and Bill and I have had some conversations about this as well, because the original application was for an overlay as opposed to a floating zone, the way the statute sets out the notice requirement is basically anybody that's affected by a change in a map, or the creation, in this case, of a new zoning map, has to be sent notice, and anybody within 200 feet of them has to be sent notice. So because that wasn't done, I don't believe that the council has the ability under the Open Meetings Act and in concert with the Zoning Enabling Act to vote on this tonight. So what I'm going to recommend is that sort of regardless of what, you can still take testimony, you can hear about it tonight, but it's going to need to be re-advertised and re-noticed correctly in order to actually affect some kind of a change one way or the other. Now, because another version came in today from the applicant that is not for an overlay, but for a floating zone, which is what Bill has also recommended, that type of a change, because it's not a mapped change, it does not require that sort of mailed notice to anybody. So it makes it quite a bit less cumbersome to do. If that ends up being what, if the applicant amends his application to reflect that thing that was submitted today, then it would be a very similar re-noticing for next time, but it would have to be with the current state of what's being proposed.
It would have to be, a floating zone would have to be advertised in the...
The floating zone gets advertised in the paper like anything would have to. The difference is because it's not mapped, nobody has to get special notice directly to them in the mail. Whereas the original application, because it would have affected so many properties, would have probably involved sending a letter to 2/3 of the town. Like almost every property owner would have been affected, so it could have been affected by it. So it would have required a lot of that particularized individual notice, whereas a floating zone just doesn't require it.
There's something to say back there? Okay. My question to you, go right ahead.
And who is this?
Hi, for the record, Attorney John Pagnarini representing Mr. Adams. I understand what council just said and what the town planner just said, but we've worked with the planning board on the plan that you have in front of you. We made a submission to the town today of a clean version of the town planner's changes, and then we made a recommendation for a couple of changes thereafter. We believe that the board could adopt it this evening without re-notification as the overlay district. Because anybody who would come in for one would be here for the other is the simple way of stating it. Because there was public notice on the floating zone. That's which one? The overlay district, the other way around. The overlay district was noticed for 3 times in the newspaper. And yes, there was no specificity to the abutters, but on the plan that the town planner is recommending, that's not required. So we believe that you can move forward this evening with it. Now, based on what you have in front of you, it's very complicated when you start looking at all the red underline and everything, and that's why we gave the council a clean version of Mr. DePasquale's amendments. But we would ask that you would move forward this evening.
I think the concern that I would have with doing that is the notice and the advertising that has been done so far, taken by itself, is inadequate for the thing that was advertised. So if the, what was in the paper was that there was gonna be a discussion about an overlay zone, not a floating zone. And that is a distinct different thing than what we're talking about ultimately tonight. If this is where the proposal has gone to. And so because the original notice was defective for its stated purpose, I wouldn't recommend relying on that, especially in the context of if somebody wants to challenge this, that involves the town getting sued. To not enforce or to change it or try to flip the passage of it, versus just continuing the hearing. You can still take as much testimony as you'd like today, and then just continue the hearing to next month or the next meeting, and then you can vote on it then after it's been noticed properly, and then you just don't have any of these problems. But I think from just a risk aversion perspective, doing it next month is a lot safer.
Okay, so a question. This is an amended version of the original application, so you wouldn't close the public hearing.
Correct.
But you still have to advertise this thing.
Advertise the thing that is actually, in front of you. So what was advertised was the original version of the original application. That was then sent to the planning board marked it up, that's what you have here. And now, the applicant appears to have either, I don't know if he's adopting this full, entirely, Bill's recommendation, or if this is just a cleaned up version of this for some other purpose to make it easier to review. I'm not entirely sure. But what was advertised was the very first thing that came in. So if we advertise a floating zone, then we don't have to worry about those specific.
But you still leave this public hearing open, just continue to the next month.
Right, I think that would be perfectly appropriate.
Okay.
Yeah, I have a question too. Well, first of all, my question is that since we're discussing this floating zone, it's my understanding from my cursory review, I'm not a planner, my cursory review to me makes it seem as though the floating zone is specifically directed toward a particular piece of property for which there would be a full public, not public necessarily, but a planning board review that there's not specifically a place, whereas the original kind of zone has to be wherever it might apply.
Yeah, the original application would have been for a floating zone, which is a zone.
No, not the original.
No, I understand. I'm just to highlight the difference. The original one would have had an actual map associated with it, with meets and bounds for what
Not the
areas.
floating, but the original.
Right, now the floating zone.
That I understand.
Right, the floating zone
Okay.
instead would apply essentially with more general application, and then if an individual that meets the qualifications
That's-
wants to come in and say, hey, I want to
I want
have
to
this
vote,
applied
I
to
want
me,
this to be a zone.
then,
That's
right,
my
then they apply for it
understanding,
to this body, and then you'd be able to have, you'd have a public hearing, and you'd be able to vote on it.
So to your recommendation to us, this is all I want to say. All the parties involved in this process now, the applicant, the planner, and us, we might understand what's happened. But 10, 20, 15 years from now, and if someone researches and finds that there might have been a glitch, that might give someone, I think, could give some, I won't be around to hear it, but someone might be looking for the possibility that this was adopted inappropriately. And is that a feeling you might have?
Yeah, I think that it's unlikely that after a long period of time you'd be likely to see a problem, because there are limits to how long you can, challenge this sort of stuff. But all the same, my assumption is as a general rule, it's better to just do it right than to risk doing it wrong, because litigation is expensive and it's a lot cheaper to wait till next month. So even if it's something that
Even if it
doesn't come up,
affect the future.
just as a matter
do
of
it right.
policy, it is just better to not take the chance. That's my opinion of it.
Well, there are people that watch, as we know, very carefully what we do, so.
Earl, would you like to get up and give a presentation of this flooding zone? I mean, we could hear testimony tonight anyway.
Yes, I would like that. I will have
Okay.
John speak on my
Why we have
behalf.
people here, I'm sure there's people here for this, so.
Thank you very much. We would like to continue.
Could you come up here?
Sure.
Ray's deaf, and so am I.
Not a problem.
I was in the interview.
All right.
Your hearing aids at home too, huh?
The intent behind the ordinance is it applies to multiple properties, not just the Adams farm, is to find a way to help farmers keep large farms intact and to come up with additional revenue sources. And basically to bring farming and the farming zoning into the 21st century. We've agreed with the planning board on definitions of things such as farmer's market, agribusiness, farm products, farm kitchen, farm events, and the eligibility requirements. There's no question, everybody's in agreement on that. I will give, it was a lengthy hearing with your planning board. There was a lot of give and take on both sides. Got a little adversarial at one point, and then everybody realized we were doing it for the greater good of multiple farms throughout the town. And we all worked for a conclusion. Town planner did yeoman's work on this because there was no application process originally submitted by Mr. Adams, and we've come to that. There's a few things that if we're going to advertise that we would ask you to consider this evening amending prior to it being advertised. With specificity, I'll draw your attention to, we have very few changes. There's one holistic change that we would like to see, but without question.
Now, the version we're looking at is version 4.
That would be my version 4,
This
yes.
is the one,
That works.
does this one need amended or no?
Yeah, yes.
Okay.
Well, I'm asking you to adopt the amendments that are read on version 4 as I presented it. Particularly, I'm gonna go to line 301. And this really wasn't discussed, to my recollection, with the board. I believe that it may have been a recommendation of the town planner, but it's the filing fee. It says preliminary application minor development, $100 plus 2 cents per square foot of gross floor area of buildings, structures, or area of the farm to be utilized to host the required activities. That could be, as Councilman said, down the road, somebody interprets that very differently and says, is it 2 cents times 75 acres? Because that's the eligibility for the entire project.
Sitting there, what if someone did a 40-acre corn maze?
It-
That was $36,000.
I was gonna say, this can get $50,000, $75,000 fees.
Yeah.
Now, a normal, I believe a normal preliminary application fee in the town is $100, so we propose $200. And then the same thing with the final application fee in line 304. it's $100 plus the 2 cents a square foot, et cetera, and we propose $200 for each of those, which I believe is greater than the current fee. Do we have? I'm sorry, do you have another one?
Another copy?
Yeah, Bill does.
No lines.
This one's 300.
301.
301 to 306.
Then, those are really the only two specific changes. Now, the other one is a policy on your part. As drafted, the planning board has full authority to go through the entire process. This has been vetted by the planning board. It's before you. An applicant has to come to you for a hearing on it. We're asking that everything be done administratively because the planning board moves month to month, and that this is going to add a lot of time to the actual process. And frankly, your town planner is gonna do all the work and make the presentation to the planning board. So it just seems that if it could be done administratively, which is permissive for a minor land development project, that it's more expeditious for everybody involved to let the town planner do it administratively as your administrative officer rather than taking it back through the planning board. Those are really the only changes we have from what the town planner has presented to you this evening.
So if we're to continue it, this is the version we want to advertise.
That's, yes, if you adopt the administrative officer.
I
If
think
not,
that doesn't, that element of needing to be amended for that doesn't matter for, yeah, that's not important for
We
the
just want to make sure we're advertising the right.
The right.
Right, a floating zone
But the
versus.
Didn't the
floating zone.
state change some of that the administrative officer was responsible for more things rather than the planning board?
For some additional things, yes.
Like
there's
housing
certainly-
subdivisions, for sure.
Yeah, there's a greater emphasis on streamlining things, but I'd be curious what Bill's thoughts are on having an administrative process instead of.
Yes, you know, certainly, again, Bill DePasco, I'm the town planner. The way I had constructed the version before the planning board reviewed it was basically we're gonna capture the uses, because it was gonna be very difficult to make this a dynamic overlay district for all properties. And again, it's really not really about the petitioner, really. It's about protecting the interests of the town of Exeter. And in the version that we had brought together, the planning board was very helpful in assigning what essentially is in section 8.5, on my original version, this would be a series of uses that are by right uses. It would be very similar to what we have in the zoning ordinance. So if you were to have the floating overlay approved, and that would be a public hearing, and it would notice all the abutters, section 8.5 starting at 211, all the way through to 243, were all allowed by right? So there would be no administrative process. And I think that's pretty important. That's a by right use, so no administrative nor planning. So I think the discussion that we had, and it was a very effective discussion, was 8.6, which is kind of the middle use. These are what we call limited uses and minor land development review. And he's correct, legal counsel is correct, yes, you can have the administrative officer look at the minor land developments. I think in my version, I had the ability for the town planner to offer the planning board, refer to the planning board, on maybe applications that weren't so perfect. For instance, if there was a parcel that came in and the parking was a little tighter than another parcel, if the administrative officer didn't feel like they had the bandwidth in which to assess that particular limited use under the minor land development, that I would refer that to the planning board, whether it's me or someone else sitting there. So in my version, I just give it a little bit more versatility. I think that goes to the last section when I talk about the application. And then finally, we have the prohibition section, which can speak to itself, 8.7. prohibiting those uses that we know as a town is not something that is right for these residential districts that would be eligible. There are three districts that are eligible for an overlay district with other eligibility criteria. Now, there's also an out, and that's 8.8, that requires town council approval. So say there was an agritourism or agribusiness event that we didn't think of tonight. They have the ability to come to this honorable board, town council, I should say, to ask for permission. So there's a lot of belts and suspenders on this. There was a lot of discussion as to what the limits were in 8.6, which I think is probably the heart of this. How many people are enough? What's an event that's too large? What are the hours of operation? And those are the focus areas that the planning board had, and probably the town council will have, that being 244 through 255. So, you know, my take on it is, yeah, there may be some minor land development proposals that are pretty easy to look at by the administrative officer. And there are probably some that are a little bit more difficult that we want the planning board to have their take on in terms of supporting some great ideas for that event. Hopefully that answers the question.
If I may, Mr. President, I concur with what the town planner said, but would direct you to line 423, which gives the administrative officer on the paper bill, it's not going to be on that 423. It gives the planner the right to refer it to the planning
Okay,
board.
so it's in here. Is that in this version too?
Yes, we did not change anything that Bill did in his, how shall I say, very colorful presentation here. The only thing that I did is a few grammatical changes. And like when you go to section 8.5 with all the permitted uses, I alphabetized those uses rather than having them mismatched as their board thought of them. So I put them in alphabetical order, I put 8.6 in alphabetical order, but what you have in front of you is Bill's ordinance. Everything he wanted is in there. I gave you a clean copy, which was version 1, and then our amended copy, which the only change in version 4, as it's known, is the 2 fees, the 2 cents. Bill put his 2 cents in, I'm only kidding. And then making it the administrative officer, which Bill just reinforced. The majority of these are permitted by right and won't go to the board. So it should be administrative unless he feels it's complicated enough that it should go. And we're okay with that.
We can do that.
I guess we won't argue about slaughterhouses, huh, Bill?
Well, you know, it's a great point, because, you know, first of all, this wasn't authored by myself. I think the applicant, working through the comprehensive plan process, brought forth some opportunities to preserve farmland through the process. It's very, very difficult. Writing ordinance is very difficult, right? Because you're trying to look at what you have in front of you, what could be in the future. So, yeah, it was a bit of a mishmash. What we try to do is be collaborative. I think the planning board, and gotta give the planning board the credit here, that they really came to the table and they supported the idea of preserving farmland in Exeter, but right-sized. We don't want another Venus de Milo. And I think it was very clear that, again, it's not about the applicant, it's about this floating zone being applied to other properties and then third parties renting from these farms and turning them into events. It's not what the town wants. I'm here to protect the town's interest. And, you know, this is, even at this, you got belts and suspenders, they're kind of loose, the belt. So gotta be very, very careful, and especially in the limited uses and the numbers here. You know, we went from, for instance, line 45, we went to farm to table dinners. I had 35 people. The planning board, after a lot of discussion with the applicant, talked about 50 people and about 1 per week. Right, so I don't know what the number is, right? But I wanted to put both box end on both sides of this. The other thing is probably the largest event here would be number 254. Wedding event venue, I had limited no greater than 30 to 75. And the planning board, after a lot of discussion with the applicant said there's a minimum number of people that we need in order to make this work. was kind of pushed up to 150. So that's a significant number. So there was a lot of iteration by and between the applicant and the planning board on the discussions. We don't know what these numbers, how the town council feels, but that's what you have in front of it. You have a lot of options here that you can go forward with. Now, I will say that, I want to say for the record, when someone's applying for the floating zone for the first time, you apply for it once, the planning board must recommend to the town council whether or not they meet the eligibility criteria. And I didn't want to confuse compliance to 8.6 with the actual creation or the request for a floating zone, which is in my application. The request for the floating zone will require a recommendation from the planning board to the town council on whether or not it meets the eligibility standards. Okay? So that won't go away. But the good news is, once you get the floating zone, you're able to have the 8.5, 8.6, and 8.7 within reason. Does that make sense? So that each floating zone, each applicant will have their day in court in front of the town council, and the public within 200 feet of that known boundary will be noticed, and there will be a public hearing. And the planning board, out of respect for the planning board, should weigh in on that, just like they did with this. So while I agree with the applicant's attorney that administrative officer for section 8.6, could be doing a majority of this, even with that, there's a little leeway that if something is a little out of the ordinary, they could send it to the planning board. I'm fine with that.
You would have to reject the amendments to those sections.
What now?
I did make the administrative officer give you the advisory on that, so that section would have to go back to the planning committee, the planning board.
Okay, so that means just,
I don't think we need to go back to the planning board.
Well, Bill's saying that the
I
planning
think
board.
just when you initially get a floating zone, application to the town council refers to the planning board gives you a recommendation. If the floating zone is granted, then the administrative officer can categorize the three sections and move through limited as a minor. Don't forget, the first crop doesn't have to go at all to anyone. They're allowed by right, that first group. So if you're looking at that first group and you want to change it, that's the by right use. Like in the limited uses is almost like a special use permit, but it's going to be based on performance. For instance, if I want a farm to table dinner of 50 people, show me the parking, show me the ingress and egress, and show me the restrooms, make sure the fire marshal has weighed in.
this is in your initial application, once, then it's like,
Then it's
then it's
just
done.
minor.
If you wanna have a half dozen a year, they only come to that when they're first doing one.
Correct.
When they're doing a facility to hold it, so.
When you first apply for the floating zone would be the planning board. After, if the floating zone was approved, then the administrative officer can apply 8.6, which is the limited use category. And if this creates something crazy in 8.6, they can push it off to the planning board. It seems to be a fair compromise between them.
I had a question under 8.7 prohibition. Game preserve. Kind of broad.
Yeah, it's as broad as you can get. Ask Richmond about their game preserve. I mean, again, this is about, getting an imperfect application that was literally a page and a half, and filling in what I know about an ordinance that's haven't been created probably in the state of Rhode Island. So, yes, a game preserve, it could be the big preserve like in Richmond, or it could be something really small. Certainly up to you guys whether or not you can put some boxes around that and
Well,
limitations.
It's like, I don't go there, I can't afford that place, Bill. It's, but there is a place in Northern Rhode Island, it's mainly a shooting range, they've got 900 acres out of their farm, and it's pheasant hunting and quail. But it's limited to like members and businesses.
I have no idea. I don't know anything about a game preserve, other than
I don't know if they
from a
consider
land use
themselves,
perspective.
they call themselves a farm, I mean, say, I think they raise like 30,000 pheasants a year on this place. Is someone allowed to raise pheasants or quail under this ordinance?
My interpretation, I can
It's
raise
a
them.
type of farming is what
I
it
can
is.
raise them, but I can't shoot them.
That's what I'm saying.
You can slaughter, but you don't shoot.
Right.
But it's got, the clay, what is it, clay bird, They crossed that out.
Yep. It goes, the clay's going into by right use.
Yeah.
I mean, you could limit it, I mean,
Yeah, I mean,
it's certainly up to you. Again, that was,
this is,
I threw some mud up against the wall about
well,
understanding.
most likely, we're gonna have to continue it to make sure we got it advertised correctly. These, it was just minor stuff. I picked out the 8 cents per square foot, that was the first thing I thought. And
Trying to give Marie more.
like exotic, exotic,
You don't think I was into that? I mean,
then you get
5,000,
to
I wrote that down.
exotic animal farm. We're not talking like a zoo, but there's farms out there where they raise buffalo. There's other farms that raise llamas. Yeah, I mean, a little bit of clarification. We're not raising lions, we know that, so.
I mean, I don't wanna be an author of this, again, I'm not the author of it, if you, and this is what happens, and this is kinda what happened, the applicant is the author.
Yeah.
And quite frankly, any kind of definitions of game preserves and exotic animal farms, I think they're reasonable from.
Yeah,
land
well, I know where
use
it's
point of
coming
view.
from, because they keep trying
the
to do
applic-
caged hunts down there. We call them caged hunts.
Yeah, and there's some really, on the exotic side, there's some really funky stuff going out there.
When you go down to Texas, it's really.
Yes, so
I don't see
maybe,
that
maybe the
happening.
petitioner can offer some definitions to clarify.
Okay.
We're good with the ordinance as is
Okay.
with our ask in front of you
I
tonight.
have a question, well, you guys tried to indicate it a little while ago. How far is the nearest slaughterhouse, commercial slaughterhouse from Exeter? Where do you gotta go from that?
In Rhode Island?
There's one in Wesley, don't they?
The way I used to raise beef cows, for the record,
Bruno's?
to raise beef or any kind of meat animal to sell to the public, it has to be USDA approved.
And it's Salem Prime Cuts.
Dartmouth, Mass.
And
Western
there's,
Mass.
it's either Johnson or Providence, what they're doing right now is, they slaughter it,
18 miles
they hang the animal for a week. Now you have to take that animal after a week, you have to drive down to Westerly packing, where they can cut it and package it. There's no facilities in Rhode Island where you go into one building ahead of time legally. There was 2 in eastern Connecticut, one is closed down, I believe Salem Prime Meats is still open?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, but Maurice's has been closed, they tell me.
Closed.
So, this is, it's all over New England, they're having problems with people saying eat local beef and that, but legally, it's hard to do.
There's a USDA slaughterhouse meatworks in Dartmouth, Mass.
Excuse me, would you say that, please?
Sure, there's a USDA slaughterhouse meatworks in Dartmouth, Mass.
Okay.
It's not Rhode Island, it's maybe 30
You need
miles.
her name?
No, okay.
This is
But-
just off the-
Yeah, that was another thing in there, to build, and then again, it's something like that is site specific too, which is why you have a floating zone. Yeah. Okay.
Thank you. Cleared that up.
Yeah.
May I just say something to our planner? You spoke a minute ago, again, you emphasized the fact that you worked from, what, a couple pages, page and a half. And basically, you were able to pull together the information which you shared with the planning board, Bill. Am I correct? I mean, this is not a 2-hour project, but a major project. And I think it should be recognized as a really sophisticated and apparently necessary. Maybe someone would wanna have a slaughterhouse in Exeter instead of having to go from one place to another. I mean, the fact that these are enumerated, it speaks to, in my opinion, this town after I'm gone. But we, I think, have the challenge now to make it what it should be. And why I'm glad you agree with the floating zone, because it specifies some particular area and everybody has to understand what the impact's gonna be. I personally like to see more eyes than less. I see an administrative officer, and I think about this town, we are fortunate. Bill, sorry, just forget what I'm telling people. We are fortunate to have you here with your expertise and your experience, and we might not. And maybe someday we won't have a planner, because we've trying to find one. I'm worried about that. Anyway, I appreciate the language that you suggested. I understand your concern. I'd rather leave it like it is, but that's me.
Okay.
And I think, excuse me, Ken, you said we can advertise, those are elements that can be addressed
Those, yeah, that
before
have been
it's,
changed in the
before it's
future.
adopted.
Absolutely.
Before it's adopted.
Before I make a motion to continue this public hearing to next month, there is 2 people signed up that want to speak.
Well, I'm not signed up.
I'm not
Well,
signed up.
go ahead, Dave, stand up.
Well, I just want to speak to the preserve in Richmond, the way that's set up.
Yeah.
I'm not sure how neighbor Earl is gonna set his up. But they have a ski circuit, okay? It's set up in a circle. They have like 40 stations.
Yeah.
And when they first set it up, it was beautifully done. They wanted you to have the feel of being out in the actual field. There's trees everywhere, but every time they have an event, it kills the trees. So now, they've been open a few years, there's a lot of trees going. It's actually getting dangerous. You go in, I do a little work there, and if you go in there, they're doing ski practice, you can hear the pellets going over your head. So they don't have the trees for backstop anymore.
Yeah, this doesn't.
And I think it was, somebody mentioned, it might have been you, caged hunts, okay?
They've been trying to get the legislation.
Well,
passed
they have
now.
a hill called Pheasant Hill, okay? It's where they set up big pheasant hunts. And the hunters are at the bottom of the hill, and the workers throw the pheasants at the hunters. So, I mean, hopefully, you know, setting one up here in Exeter, it's done a little bit better way. And I'm sure Earl has a great plan to do it, but I'm just putting my 2 cents in.
First is Scott Millar.
Yes, Mr. President, members of the council, I came here tonight prepared to give my comments on a version that was advertised May 6th. Hearing this discussion, it's very clear we're now dealing with a very substantially different ordinance that I have not seen. So I would respectfully like to reserve my opportunity to comment until such time I can actually read the ordinance. But I have to be frank, the ordinance that was advertised on May 6th, I came here prepared to urge you not to pass it because it was lacking any kind of reasonable standards or limits, and you were going to allow some very substantially significant business uses in residential zones. It sounds like the planning board and Bill has cleaned that up, which is a good thing, and it seems like it's addressed at least some of my concerns. To be continued.
Yeah, we're going to continue. Okay. Next is Asa Davis.
Asa Davis, 146 Beechwood Hill Trail. I have a few comments. First, the town did receive an adverse ruling this week on an open meeting case. I don't think that the issue of Mr. Adams sending out notice is an obligation on his part. I believe according to the state law, he's required to send a notice as per his original filing. I believe the town council has the ability to change and modify proposals as a result of the public hearing, so I do think you have the ability to do that. I do think you have a problem with the fact that the ordinance changes that you're discussing are only in front of you on your tables and in front of Mr. DePasquale, the planner, and nobody in the public has seen any of them. I think that might be a public records issue for you. Next, regarding the fees, by state law and by substantial legal precedent, fees for planning board, zoning applications and things like that are allowed to be imposed up to but not to exceed actual costs. And I think the town already went through a case like this with me. Regardless of however you set the fees up, they do need to be verified to make sure that they don't exceed the actual cost. Next, on the town is making a lot of zoning changes in very short periods of time now. At the last hearing, I mentioned that, you know, at the rate the tilted barn thing moved, based on the changes that were proposed at the last meeting, it was going to take 220 years to review all of them. I think I did probably misspeak on that. I think that's going to turn out to be a wrong, because I do expect a bunch of these are never going to get reviewed again. But one I hope you get to very soon is a prohibition on single-family residences in the groundwater overlay district. This is a huge mistake, and it now prohibits single-family houses in dozens of lots. This needs to be moved back to a permitted right. On this overlay district, one issue that I take is the requirement for 5 years of continuous prior operation. I think this is a mistake, because if somebody wants to start a farm that otherwise meets all criteria, they can't use this. This is restraint of trade, and it's anti-competitive and probably unconstitutional. The 5-year requirement should be removed. If you don't, you should at least fix the wording in the definitions on the last page regarding the income level, where you state that the farmland has been in agricultural use and production for the previous 5 consecutive years, with gross sales income from farming of not less than $10,000, as verified by filing of the Schedule F, etc. The issue with this language is it doesn't tie the sales income amount to any time period. So the question is, if it's $10,000 since the farm started, that might be reasonable. If it's $10,000 per year, I would consider that definitely unreasonable, because for a lot of people, farm income does vary. And if it's $10,000 for 5 consecutive years, that also would have different implications. I believe that 5-year requirement and the requirement of income level should both be removed from this or any ordinance that is adopted. Thank you.
Seeing as, go right ahead, Mr. Correa, right?
Right, Rob Correa, I'm on the planning board. First of all, I'd like to take exception to what you said about it's Bill's ordinance and we approve what he puts in front of us. A lot of work by all the members went into forming this, this ordinance, first of all. We approved the concept, the idea of giving farmers additional sources of revenue. Let them come up, let them use their own ingenuity, come up with some great ideas. That's what we want to see in town. What we're trying to protect the town from is unexpected consequences, okay? An applicant is talking about processing animals for you to serve on his farm at events. Great. Does that open the door to someone else wanting to have a meat slaughterhouse, processing beef brought in from off the farm to make it a wholesale business? So that's one thing. And I used the example at one of the hearings as like unintended consequences. He might want to have a small music festival, but it could open the door for someone else to have a bigger event. And I used the example of Woodstock. You know, it was Max Yasgur rented his 48-acre farm in Bethel, New York for a music festival. He didn't expect Woodstock. History's richer for it. The town not so much. So it's unexpected consequences by other people who can see the foots in the door and come in. We're just trying to protect the town. We agree with the whole concept of an overlay district. So that's my 2 cents. We just, unexpected consequences.
I would. Okay. I'm gonna make a motion to continue this public hearing until next month's meeting to ensure that it's advertised correctly we're using version 4 is what I have.
If I may,
Yeah.
do you want a version 5 that makes some of the corrections, like the section that the town planner wants, the recommendation to go from the council to the planner?
Do you have enough time to advertise?
So for this purpose, I don't think this doesn't matter for the advertising purpose. The types of changes we're talking about are not significant enough, that can be done on the fly. You could advertise this, change it a little bit, and that's perfectly acceptable.
What is the deadline for advertising?
It's gotta be actually advertised for 3 weeks. So it's gonna be
we got a couple
next
days?
week. Yeah, a couple days, probably. I don't know about the newspaper deadline, but.
weeks.
What is the date, the 7th?
I have to send it to the paper on the 12th,
And that'll give you plenty of time.
3 weeks.
Okay.
Okay, that'll work.
But I need it prior to the 12th.
Yeah.
That's, like this week?
Not
This
the
week.
other.
This week would be good, so we have time to review and the end of the week.
Through the president, just on that version, if I could ask the version 4 actually be struck, underlined strikeout?
Yep.
Because I know the first version had section 7, this is actually gonna be a section 8, because we're gonna actually have an overlay. So insofar as the applicant can provide that, the underline, you'll know that it's an addition as opposed to, what he has here, which is good, but it just, if we're gonna advertise, we should do it
Make
correct.
sure it's correct.
Underline is additions, existing will remain.
Isn't the whole thing in addition? Because there is no document now in the code?
I don't know if 8 exists, we have to look, section 8.
I believe there is a section 8.
Yeah, if there's a section 8, then everything else has gotta get stricken out, and then, the underline being added, and then remuneration for the rest of it. It's got to be as it's gonna be presented to Muni Code.
Okay. Is that something we can get done?
We'll coordinate.
What's that?
We'll coordinate.
Okay, all right, so I've got a motion to continue the public hearing till the July meeting.
And advertise it correctly.
It needs to be advertised correctly.
That's what I have.
Yeah, okay. We have a second?
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you.
Thank you.
When is the July meeting, Lynn?
7,
July
July
7.
7.
Monday, what must be on Friday? Okay, all right. I can find it.
It is, what, July 7.
Thank you.
We don't have any other-
You did?
Number 8 is public comment. We don't have any public comment. Okay, number 9 is new business, resolution number 2025-05. Adoption of 2025 Towns of Exeter and West Greenwich multi-jurisdictional hazardous mitigation floodplain management plan update. Come on up, Tori.
Good evening, Mr. President, council members.
She has good news.
It gives me great pleasure tonight to request the adoption of the 2025 multi-jurisdictional hazard mitigation plan. The towns of Exeter and West Greenwich have successfully completed a comprehensive update. The last time it was updated was 2005, and so there are many new additions and positive additions. This effort conducted over the last year has culminated in the development of the towns of Exeter and West Greenwich, Rhode Island, multi-jurisdictional 2025 hazard mitigation and floodplain management update. The planning team respectfully requests that the Exeter Town Council formally adopt this updated plan by resolution, which I believe you all have a copy. Yes. Oh, do you have a copy of the resolution?
Somewhere in
I
this
emailed
disaster.
it, so- Oh, I have, yeah,
All right,
yeah, we exeterized it.
yeah.
The
I think it's
exeterized
still
it.
on my phone on my email.
Okay.
I
So
was
it-
going through this at 9:35.
It has been provided for your review and consideration. The language of the resolution has been structured to follow the incorporation of minor changes required. If there's any, for the state, after your approval, the state takes a look at it without an EMA and then the FEMA. So the state process is a 30-day process, they have 30 days to make their changes. And then the FEMA has 90 days. So the resolution that you're looking at will allow, so that you don't have to come back and adopt it, they will just be minor changes if at any. Our consultant has been really very successful in getting these plans through both permitting agencies. So upon, the provision, there's one that's found in the final paragraph of the resolution is intended to prevent the need for a repeated adoption process once those agencies complete their review. So that's an important, just note so that once this goes through, if there's any minor changes, it doesn't have to come back to this, unless you request it. Upon formal adoption by both town councils, West Greenwich and Exeter, the resolutions will be incorporated into the final version of the plan. The complete document will then be submitted to REMA and FEMA for final approval. Once approved, this plan will qualify the towns of Exeter and West Greenwich to apply for federal hazard mitigation funding to address natural hazards within our communities. Those are pre-disaster funds and post-disaster funds, which in the past we never were able to apply to because we didn't have this formal adopted plan. The planning process for this update began on September 11, 2024. Each town contributed representatives with expertise in hazard mitigation and emergency management. We had an excellent team together with our DPW director, our planning director, we had the library TN, we had our town staff, everyone was super helpful in this effort. And to that, I really thank everyone who contributed to this process. We facilitated public engagement through the planning process, including a project kickoff during the drafting of the risk assessment and review of the full draft plan. And I've been coming to the council all along, so this isn't the first time we've seen this plan. Stakeholders from local, state, and federal agencies, businesses, academic communities, elected officials, and neighboring jurisdictions were kept informed and engaged at all key points during the project, which is always important to engage the community. All planning team and public meetings were publicly noticed in accordance with the Rhode Island Open Meetings Act. Announcements and draft documents were shared through the town's official websites, direct mailings, social media, and traditional paper notifications to ensure broad community awareness and input. So as part of the planning process, the planning team reviewed and updated the natural hazards that affect our jurisdiction. Several new hazards categories that were not included in the 2005 plan and how have been incorporated in the 2025 plan include severe thunderstorms, dam failures, floodings, tropical and extra tropical storms, hurricanes, severe winter weather, brush fire, wildfire, drought, extreme temperatures, tornadoes, earthquakes, hazardous material incidents, water quality concerns, including PFAS and cyanobacteria blooms, cybersecurity threats. Also, IT was also involved in this, and so with the fire departments. So everybody has a project in this plan, and that will continue to be updated throughout the year. So we also took an update of the inventory of our critical facilities, infrastructure, housing stock, and population data in each community to inform a robust risk assessment and determine the number and value of assets at risk, which is important when you're looking for disaster funding through FEMA to have that information on hand. Following the completion of the risk assessment, the planning team, with input from the public, identified and prioritized 90 specific hazard mitigation actions and projects to reduce the long-term impacts of natural hazards across both towns. Upon adoption and FEMA approval of the updated plan, the towns will become eligible to apply for state and federal grant funding to implement these projects. The planning team extends our sincere thanks to the Fairweather Science consulting firm for their outstanding performance and technical expertise in guiding the development of this plan. We'd also like to thank our jurisdictional partner, the town of West Greenwich, for their collaboration and commitment throughout this whole process. And special appreciation is also extended to the Rhode Island Emergency Management Agency for providing the funding that made this planning effort possible. So tonight we respectfully request that the town council adopt resolution to support this essential step in strengthening our community's resiliency and protecting our residents, infrastructure, and natural resources from future disasters. Thank you for your support.
You know, I'll move to adopt the resolution supporting the hazard mitigation plan that's been finalized.
I'll second.
All in favor?
I want to say a couple of things.
I knew you would.
Well, only a couple, but I think the point is, if you look at it, it's sort of a it's a huge wish list, but the point is, once it's identified, some of those priorities might be recognized as grant material, although we all know grants seem to be drying up. But I just think the very first paragraph you read, I really would wish that that could be just part of the record of what we've done. That first paragraph, you know, without the detail.
Okay.
I'd like to see that, I believe it's the first paragraph, line to be part of the record. So that if anybody looks, they know what we did here tonight, because nothing's been done since 2005. Just that I think it's the first paragraph, Lynn, but we can look at it if that's not exactly what I thought. Sorry.
This plan
Thank you.
provides the backbone for a lot of different
Right.
projects, including the next project is the emergency operations plan, which gives the town what everyone's responsibility is during disaster. So we don't have that right now, and that's kind of a huge missing part to what my.
Yeah, like what the council president should have.
No, that's true, in a disaster.
This thick that someone had me in.
I know.
Well, with funding of a disaster and declaring a disaster and things like that, that needs to be formalized in kind of a framework. And this is one of the frameworks that was missing, so very proud to present this to you tonight.
Midori, thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay, thank you. New business, B, Department of Public Works is requesting to go out to bid HVAC replacement dog kennel area animal control facility. You're up, Rob.
Yeah, so, it's just pretty cut and dry, like it says, we were on a shoestring last year in the hottest months, and we had a tech come in and just got that unit barely working. I don't trust it with the livestock, so we'd like to do it's recommended we do an upgrade.
Okay, so you're gonna write the specs and send it out?
Yep.
Okay. I'll make a motion to approve the Department of Public Works to go out to bid for HVAC replacement for dog kennel area at the animal control facility.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Item C, requested Department of Public Works authority to post no-through truck signs on all non-arterial roads. I'll let you explain that. I talked to Rob the other day on this one.
No, it's not Rob, it's me.
Oh.
Yeah, because
But I didn't mean it to appear the way it did. I had a discussion. No, it isn't. Well, I don't think
No, I
so.
put that in there because
Well,
I
you
thought it
did.
was Rob.
Oh.
I didn't know it was you till today.
Well, that's because some of the newly paved roads, and particularly
Dead ends.
specifically, well, those, and School and Woods, where reports to me that there's a lot of trucking that's going through. So, you know, Rob and I talked earlier, I'm not trying to suggest he knows what to do, but I think if we could authorize some signage for, and I don't mean to prolong this tonight, but do you wish to continue this till next month after we?
How many roads would you be talking?
Well, no, I know, it makes it sound like all roads. That was not my intent at all. Some specific road, like School and Woods. But it didn't get worded that way. That's not your fault, Lynn. So Rob and I talked about whether no-through trucking would be appropriate there. It might or it might not. Or a very low, also speed signs, even though we all know people don't follow those. But if it's a really low speed sign, it might give somebody the idea that this might be a pretty difficult road to navigate. So I don't know whether this might not be the night. Maybe Rob should come back to us.
Come back to the list?
Yeah, what do you think, Rob? Or,
I agree. In addition, I think there is some roads that I want to increase, the dead end signage. We have tractor trailers trying to go down Pod and Joslin. It's made them back.
I told him the story of the one with the 53-foot
Yeah.
trailer
Yeah.
12 years ago that tried to turn
Well-
around. The GPS is telling them to go.
no, and I understand, but at least, and Rob and I talked about that. I said, this says no through trucking, but as Rob and I talked, there are other places where we think signage is needed. And I don't really know if we need to direct him to what to do, but you wanna wait, we'll talk about it in a
Yeah.
month. let's put
that's
it, let's
best.
put it as
Get some
unfinished
targets.
business, and then,
Unfinished business.
yes,
in
Rob can kind of tell us a few things he thinks we should do.
Okay, we'll just continue that till next month. Okay.
Thanks, Rob.
Thank you, Cal.
Okay, D, request to be heard, Rita Cassidy, 71 Arcadia Road, regarding stormwater runoff onto her property. That was you?
Well, she and I had a conversation. I was told at the beginning of the meeting, or before the meeting began, she's not unable to attend
I
tonight.
think that's the piece that Ron went to cite
He
for
has.
erosion control.
Yeah, he has, and I'm not trying to, well, never mind. My conversation with her was as a council member and a resident, and I suggested she could come here, explain her situation. I told her we might not be able to fix it, but we might at least be able to address it. And I would just either like to have that continued as unfinished, or the fact that we didn't even address it, then my opinion, we could just keep it as new business, because we didn't even talk, well, I did talk about it, so. If you want to put it as unfinished business.
Are you sure?
Yes, well, because I explained why it was there, so.
Okay, item E, planning board and zoning board meeting clerical coverage. Was that you or Bill or?
Well, so, you know, we have coverage for the daytime,
Yep.
but we don't have coverage for meetings. Bill had suggested, you know, using AI and $30 a month, but then it's $1.99, $2.99
Per line.
per line for the transcript.
How much?
$1.99 to $2.99.
Per line.
Per line, and it's verbatim for the transcript.
You can get Ron cheaper.
So, Pat Whitford has volunteered to do it at a cost, do the meetings and do the minutes, and we didn't know if you wanted, Bill's on board with that, he'd rather have a person,
Really nice.
you know,
After having a discussion with him.
because he's been trying to do it himself, and he'd rather have a person.
No, he shouldn't be
I'm
doing
sorry,
that.
guys.
He shouldn't be doing that, it's got other things he could do.
So, Pat's offered to do it, $100 a meeting, Bill and I talked about it, we think that's kinda low, but it's low, but, so that's where it stands. She'll-
And not processing these while she's
Right, we
here,
discussed that, it's not.
yes or
gonna-
no?
it's
No, she'll process them after
Her time.
after hours.
Yeah. So,
Here's my suggestion, I think a person's good, and I Bill, no, Bill, you're not gonna do minutes, please. And it ought to be, you know, if it works, and if it doesn't, we could revisit it in 3 months, if you find,
I'll bill,
you know.
It's certainly capable, I'd much rather have,
Yes.
that, actually $100 is really, you know,
it's reasonable.
that's not a lot of money for 3 hours meeting and then minutes.
Well, cut it short.
It probably should be commensurate with what our pay is for the hours. I mean, to get someone to do minutes is not easy. Becky's doing it now, she's doing a yeoman's job, but we're transitioning to her kind of moving on the planning side, and we have a long-term plan, I think, with the town council to have some kind of secondary understanding of everyone's job. We don't have succession plans in the town, and we need to go forward with succession plans where people can actually be cross-trained, and if someone goes on vacation, the whole world doesn't stop.
Right.
And we'd like to see a location where building and zoning, cross-training and planning, and vice versa. I think minutes on the scale of things can be done as a, you know, fundamental function, but nevertheless a rudimentary part, and if we have someone willing to do that, I would highly suggest that that is a good allocation of resources for the town to move forward.
so she'll be attending night meetings and doing these minutes on her own time, so.
Okay, I'll make a motion
Figure.
that we appoint Pat Whitford, to do the minutes for planning and zoning.
And second, can we, will Pat be, I assume, creating a time sheet so she indicates how much time she's spent? You said, did you say $100 per minute, per meeting, rather? No, per meeting? Is
Per
that
line.
what?
Yeah.
No, $100 per meeting.
Meetings, we last what? planning board, 3 hours, 2 hours?
We've rarely gone three, usually two.
So 3 hours, and I don't know how much minutes, you know how long minutes.
We've rarely gone to four.
For 3 hours.
About 5 hours.
Well, then she's gotta transcribe them or whatever you call it.
So she's gonna spend the 3 hours,
Yeah,
plus
plus-
another 2 to 3. Two
That's
anyway.
not very much.
No, it's not.
That's-
No, it isn't, maybe, that's why I didn't put a price on it, yeah.
Right. You figure out her hourly rate and do something like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, her hourly rate. plus
Compensate her normal hourly rate.
Right, that's what I would do.
Her normal hourly rate.
Not fair, isn't it? I don't know what that
Is
is.
that something, Maria,
Now, what is
that
her
you,
hourly rate?
can you
Figure
comment
it out.
on that?
I can look it up, I'm trying to figure it out.
Something like that, you would think.
You gonna put a. What's her hourly rate for a deputy? You don't wanna know, do you?
What if you do it as a clerk or something, hourly rate as a clerk,
That's with her computer.
use an hourly rate for a clerk.
Wow.
That's, we just.
Use the hourly for the clerk, makes
So
sense.
what's
because
the-
It's more of a clerk.
So the,
The charge is
Yeah, that makes
more
sense.
because she's been here
so what's that?
So the hourly rate for the clerk was, sorry,
What, like 20 basically, around
I
20,
think it was gonna be, starting July 1st was gonna be like 25.
oh, 25. Right,
Full-time
so-
hourly clerk.
There you go.
So hers is a little more, like as a deputy. Sorry, my,
So if we go by clerk, it's
Times
25 times 3 is
Times
75.
that's 5.
Times
But
five.
then she's got transcription.
5 times 25.
5
Then
times
she's got
25 is
transcription, right?
125.
150? Sounds good? 200? 200? Sorry, Dan.
But what if the motion is for hourly rate of
So,
25?
I'm sorry, 25.53,
That's
starting
true.
July 1st for a full-time hourly clerk.
And do you wanna do it hourly, or do you wanna do it on a flat rate per meeting for the
Well,
provided people?
no, well,
Do a
That was
flat
what was-
rate.
that was-
you do, you like that?
Well,
What if a
because
meeting
then-
is 2 hours or another meeting is 4?
So
It'll
you get a
equal
bargain
out.
sometime, yeah, it equals out, it'll equal out, I mean, at some point, she's gonna work more, and then other points, because then are you gonna do the minimum
At least
4
5
hours?
Yeah,
Even if it's,
overtime.
right, is it gonna be,
We'll do a flat rate.
I would say flat rate, then you don't have to worry about start time.
Amend the motion to compensate her a flat rate of $150 per meeting.
Yeah.
To come out of planning board clerk, or,
Yes.
which line item?
Planning board for me, and
And
then
then-
zoning
So
building
it
for
would be
the other.
come from 2 different accounts.
Okay.
Yeah, yeah. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay.
Tell Pat we said thank you.
Pat will think
Yeah.
of-
Okay, item F, consideration of resolution regarding proposed legislation, Senate Bill 909, an act relating to public records access to public records. Okay.
Oh, this way.
Haven't they put this in one of the last year too? In the town clerks associations against it? Yeah.
So Lee wrote some letter.
So
too.
League of Cities and Towns.
There's a lot of stuff on
Yeah,
it.
when I read it, I didn't like, you know, they bumped it down to.
Well, I called Gordon Rogers because I saw his name on
Should
it.
have been
Who?
15.
Gordon Rogers, Senator Rogers, his
yeah.
name was on it, I called him. He
Yeah,
said
he-
there's another bill out there besides this one.
It does speak to both the House and the Senate one.
He
And
said he was pretty sure there was another Senate one that was, no, okay.
I mean, with inflation, that went from 15 cents to 5 cents.
Yeah,
Yeah,
And
I
the
think
15
that's,
cents wasn't even covering our cheap.
no, it's
it doesn't
not.
cover what you cost.
There's a few things in there.
Yeah, that cost was not the only way.
All right, you wanna make the motion, Cal?
Oh, I don't want to.
Well, they
I
said
don't
that
like
again.
those 2 things.
Well, I move that we adopt this resolution number 2025-06, as it's a resolution opposing
the Senate and House bills named here relating to the access to Public Records Act. That appears before us.
That, I gotta do second.
Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. Unfinished business, fire remediation status, 710 Rhode Road.
Okay, so, at the last monthly meeting, the council asked that I dispatch a letter to the owner of this property to inquire about the status of any remediation efforts, if there have been any, and see what kind of plan they have. At the end of last week, the letter that I sent came back undeliverable, with, the owner is a general partnership at a residence. And it was returned for that, person not being at the residence, essentially the code that was listed on it. So my recommendation, since I think this is really like a building inspection problem, more so than anybody else, I would suggest that the council may prefer to have the building inspector write a letter, perhaps have it served by the town sergeant. That way we know somebody's getting a piece of paper put in their hand, and there's no question. I think that'll also make a point of like, hey, pay attention to this. If they're not getting mail at the name of this general partnership at the residence where they have identified.
Rhode Island?
It's in Saunderstown, yeah.
Well, excuse me, but the people, there's activity there all the time. So they either lease the property or they own the property, whoever's, you know what I'm saying, you understand what I'm trying to say here. So maybe we can authorize them to have a letter written, scope delivering, along with a copy of this letter, indicating we tried to contact them. And something's gotta be done. It was a lovely house, but.
Who should the building inspector write to?
So I'm happy to inform the building inspector the name of the property owner and give the address, which I've looked up, and see that gets going.
And should we include
Yeah,
this with it,
Yeah, I
that
can
we
send
tried?
that as well, sure.
Is that I'll make that motion.
Okay.
I'll second the motion.
When you got that, right?
Yep.
Okay.
Exeter West Greenwich Regional School District Special Election.
We got a response, to your letter to them.
They're gonna do it anyway.
He says it.
I have it in my hand. And the answer is, they want the election to be held. It says, given that, whatever, we simply are taking the necessary steps. Respectfully, the school committee asks that you please reach out to the superintendent of schools for more forward with the special election in November of this year, 2025. No specific dates. My understanding is that the school's charter indicates that if they need to request this from the towns, that a special election be held, they can request that. I think that ought to be verified. I heard that from my
I
deputy.
just don't know why
clerk.
they can't wait till the next election.
Well, that was a point, Diane, in writing the letter. And I'm sorry it didn't work that way.
Are they gonna pay for all the 20 days?
Well, that isn't indicated here, but that's what should happen. This 20 days, here we are now, out of commission in this room.
For one
I
question.
believe they pay for it, Diane.
I beg your pardon?
I believe they pay for it.
Yeah,
They
well,
do normally, yeah.
Yeah, they normally pay for it.
but I just think of,
Well, they pay for the old day rate for
Yeah,
They-
but we tried.
This is their request.
I don't know if you wanna try again. You didn't write the letter, did you? Ew. I know, but what I'm saying is, ooh, maybe our attorney ought to write.
Well, why don't I do this? Why don't I do a little research on what the
Make sure to
requirements
try,
are?
yeah.
And then we can
Then you gotta get a copy of their charter.
Charter.
Yeah, yeah.
Which we
Sure, we got it
have
somewhere.
somewhere.
Yeah, I'm sure I can dig that up.
Like put on their website.
It's just, understand that they want the issue addressed, it needs to be, but I don't think it needs it to be
A special event.
right now. But that's our point. Maybe we should have asked you to write the letter in the first place.
I'm so much more convincing than I am.
Because it is gonna require 21 days.
I know, right here. Well, that's it. So that 2 or 3 people a day can come by, if we're lucky.
And we're still paying for it, taxpayers.
Yeah, exactly, exactly, it's going in a different road. Okay, do you want action there, or request that solicitor do a bit of research and see if we can respond to this?
Do some research. Yeah.
There needs to be specificity, at least, if this holds, when in November.
We'll keep this on then until.
Yes,
Yeah.
continue it,
Yes.
Yeah.
it's up to you, I'm good, yeah.
Okay, item C, make communication number 1, request from Freedom Energy Logistics to present regarding the benefits of community choice aggregation.
I'd ask for that, based on the response that we received from the planner, which I appreciate, because with everything else the planner has had to attend to, he gave this some attention. I would recommend that we not move forward unless our treasurer suggested something different, but doesn't look to me like it's appropriate for this town.
Okay.
So I thank Bill very much for his time, I wish we hadn't asked you. You've got too much to do.
So we can take that off the agenda.
Yes, please.
Okay. No.
Item D, status, welcome signage in and out of town.
I found the vendor, or sign maker that made the concrete signs, and I contacted him, waiting for a call back.
Okay.
Sorry.
Let me leave it on there. We'll leave it on there.
Sure.
Okay, item B, we've already covered.
Sign maker.
Item F, town government buildings, use and improvement plans, 740 Rhode Road, status, architectural services.
Mr. Azarano has the draft proposal, well, he sent it to the town. Ken reviewed it, I reviewed it, and we sent back comments to him and told him that, we didn't have to rush it for this meeting. The finance town meeting's coming up, so right after that, so it should be ready in July, yes.
Okay.
But you'll have it to review prior to that.
Yeah, well, and because we have the issue that we're addressing here in an executive session, which is part of the reason that we're moving slowly.
That brings us to communications, and you had 14 and 20.
I did, quickly. And 14 is the one from, letter.
14 is from Earl.
No, this is from Earl. Earl had concern, he did want to thank Rob and his crew for the work that they've done up near Wallow School to help with the baseball players and other people that use the field. And he also was asking, if with Rob or might consider a speed bump. So I'd just like to refer this, if Rob didn't see it, he probably did. But I'd just like to refer this to him, and it's a thank you to Rob for the work that you did up there. But we're asking for a little bit more.
Yeah.
Okay, here it is. And
Yeah, I
then-
received it.
Here, you already saw it.
Yeah, I got it.
Are we gonna bring that back, or just?
Oh, I'm
refer
gonna pass it to Rob and let him
Okay.
take a look and see if he has any recommendations.
You wanna talk about it now? No?
Do you know?
What's that?
Do you have a
About the speed hump?
recommendation? Yeah.
Yeah, I seen the letter, right, it was in my box. And, I wouldn't be against it. they fly up and down that road, and there's kids walking.
I guess his little grandkids are playing
Yeah.
t-ball, I guess it's basically the, people go to the campground, he said.
It is, but it's also residents, they fly on these roads, they really do.
Just like Mill Road.
So,
With that being a hazard though, we got LED lights flashing there right now. And so we using high-vis signs and all that stuff, so, but it's still dark. And when they shut the ball field lights, that's when they, that's when the problem could be happening.
but we have no speed bumps in town.
Right. And
You wanna create one with a signage that says,
There'll be additional signage needed, however, I'm not looking for a bump, it's a hump.
oh,
And
well,
so, a hump is
Sorry.
like 5 feet wide,
Table. Speed table.
speed table, and it's much less aggressive on your vehicle, yet it gets the point across.
that's the point.
Oh, you can still go airborne, they have them down in East Greenwich at the high.
But if you're doing the speed limit, just check, because we went through the whole speed table. Check your insurance company, we're gonna have limits, with Rhode Island Interlocal Trust.
Yes,
Okay, you gotta work with them, you can sign them, we did them in East Greenwich, we did them in Warwick. Gotta be tables, there gotta be certain elevations. Right, and that's what we're gonna look for. And they gotta be signed and marked.
That's what they put in Apponaug down in front of the city hall, there's like 3 or 4 of them there now.
We had a few of them, we used, what we did to get away from the insurance.
And they painted yellow,
Is
so they see 'em.
we used them as pedestrian crosswalks, so the table doubled as a crosswalk. So in other words, right at the crosswalk would we have to? You put the table and the crosswalk would be on top of the table. So only one hump, and that's it? Right, but the long table, flat table. You should talk to the Rhode Island Interlocal Trust, because if it's not done correctly, then you could have legal exposure if someone drives and hurts
Exhaust
someone.
systems, front end.
Can't work.
Have one-
However, if a child or a parent or somebody gets hit over there, that's worse to me than someone hurting their
but
car.
what Bill just said about crosswalk,
Right.
wouldn't that be a good thing to do as a crosswalk?
I
They have
think
one in
it's
front of
great.
the State House.
That one from the state house.
Oh, the
Like
one that
that.
raises the
Yeah.
whole structure,
Yeah.
that's what you mean.
Yeah. Not
No, this
quite
is a
that big.
table.
That'll slow them
What's he
down.
talking about?
Yeah,
I'll put you
tables.
airborne.
Yeah, now I know,
Used to
he
watch
said,
them go
he
airborne
said,
with that.
he told me.
So, yeah, instead
It
of a
goes up.
crown, a huge
Yeah.
crown, you have an
Yeah,
elevation and then there's a
and you
flat.
cross, good.
Thank you.
Oh, I like that.
I'll look into
I
that.
like that, like at the State House,
Yeah.
only a smaller version.
Well, if you go down Apponaug, when you go down, the way they screwed all the roads up there.
That's not his fault.
When you go by City Hall, I think there's 4 of them, I was going up there to do a job.
Absolutely, at least 4 of them. And you're not flying. You're
No,
taking it easy.
that's a Bill's fault.
Bill did it.
Okay.
But he was walking through on TV all the
I'm
time.
gonna get all the codes and all that
I
stuff
think-
for the table, I love it. Thank you, Bill.
I think that's good, okay.
All right, do some research on that.
I will. So
Well-
leave that open?
Folks, that's
Next
the
month.
reason that I put it, only because it looked like something we ought to address. Number 20 is really, well, that's very important, so is this. And it's the Job Corps pleading that we write a letter supporting the work that Job Corps does. And because they want to shut them
I'm
down.
gonna recuse myself.
They want to shut them down.
I'm a subcontractor to them, so, but when they sent it to me, I sent it to Wayne. Yeah. But
Then
go
what's
ahead,
this?
yeah,
This?
yeah.
What
I
would
don't
it
wanna get
you?
in trouble.
Oh, so you don't wanna speak to it?
Yeah.
You don't even wanna say, you don't wanna say a word, okay, I'm gonna speak to it. Because from what I've heard, unless things have changed, young people, mostly men, I'm guessing, are moved right out of there into jobs at EV. And as Quonset is growing, from all I can hear, there's all kinds of businesses. We need this. Or the people that are coming out of the advanced culinary that are going right into restaurants around the state. And, I'm sorry, but the president says we're not gonna fund Harvard research. We want to instead support trade schools. That's what we've got. And it's a school, you all know what it is. It's a place where kids go, sometimes I believe they're there court orders to this is your chance, kid. Go there, straighten your act out, or you're going somewhere else, like where he works, or something. Well, no, not where you work.
Yeah, well,
Yes,
if I may, for over a year now, I've been having Job Corps individuals come to the DPW and work for us in welding. So it's, and they're putting their best of the best because we can't babysit. However, we're getting free work done on containers and welding, this, that, and the other thing, and they're getting some practice. And I think they do 60 hours each or something like that. So I've been doing that for over a year.
You know, I read it quickly, and I don't think there's too much here, Exeter specificity, but I sort of briefly, I'd like to work with Lynn to create at least one opening paragraph that speaks to the things that have benefited this town and surrounding communities, including our, I don't wanna keep saying it, our certified tax assessor, the youngest in the state, that's doing an excellent job. So my motion would be to work with Lynn to craft a response to, well, this is going to Seth Magazine, he's already, and Senator Reed, and Sheldon Whitehouse, and Greg, all of them, just so they have this from Exeter. We're the host community.
I'll second that.
Thank you.
Save the Christmas cookies.
You're in charge on this one.
And, yeah, it's a yes.
All right, the
Yeah,
motion and a
thank you,
second?
library. Yep.
Motion, all in favor, say aye.
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 Oh, that's right, we could, I say, why are you doing this? That's right, because you can't.
He recruited himself, yeah.
I don't wanna get in trouble.
No, no.
I was gonna pull that too.
Okay, before we go into executive session, let's take a brief 5-minute recess.
So, I'm gonna ask them how much.
Motion to take a brief recess.
Yeah, aye.
I thought it was the second. Good night. I'll talk to him. We meet tomorrow or is it? I don't think it's the whole thing. I think it's
It's not doing it anymore.
Sorry, I'll get to that tonight, tomorrow.
Well,
I'll talk to you soon about that.
No, don't go to the wish list.
Real done with the officer.
Some programs, we have ACT.
Tonight. That's why I give you a number.
So, yeah.
Okay. That's what I see.
Fortran.
I just want to talk until things get finalized. I know that they will have. All right, I'll switch one.
Bill, don't leave. And this is the part, this came from.
I can't believe this still.
I made, announced